Welcome back. Alright, so part 2 of our job skills class today is on punctuality. Punctuality is a very necessary skill to have when having a job, and really just in life in general. Being punctual is something that is very important. We've all been late at times, and I understand that it happens, but at the same time, especially when you have a job, you have to be on time because they keep track of that. You know, if you're constantly late, you're going to be told about it. Like you're constantly coming in late, and we have people that would like this job that would be here on time. But people have been late, and it happens. But it's something that you can actually work on. It's a skill that you can develop, and there are certain things that you can do to make sure that you actually are on time. We've all been late to things at program, things like that, but at the same time, we usually have things set up so that there's a period of time that you need to be ready by. So say it's pickups in the morning, and some people say, oh, you're late, you're not here on time. Well, we have from 8 to 9 o'clock to pick y'all up. All you need to be ready for is between 8 to 9 to be ready, unless somebody takes the bus. And then you take care of your own existence, which I really like. And you're the one who creates your own time on being punctual and getting to the parking lot on time. But between 8 to 9, staff aren't late as long as they don't arrive after 9 o'clock. And, so that time is set up. So there's not really a late time as long as we get there before 9 o'clock, then, everything is good. But sometimes there are traffic and crazy things happen, like the time that all the chickens got scattered all over the highway. Nobody knew that was going to happen. And, so people, jobs, they're understanding when it comes to stuff like that. Where it's like, this is unforeseen. But ultimately, the point is that punctuality, being on time, is very important. And we're going to go over reasons why. And we're going to go over ways to help you make sure that you are on time. That you're not making people wait. All right. So, the importance of being punctual cannot be overstated. And punctual just means I say I'm going to be there, so I'm there. And I'm there when I said I was going to be there. So, it says that being on time matters. It matters a lot. However, a large number of people have a problem being punctual. In fact, surveys show that 15 to 20% of the U.S. population is consistently late. That's a lot of people. So, 80-85% of people are usually on time. But still, 15 to 20%, that's a lot of people being late. And that's a lot of time wasted for a lot of people. So, there are some things that go along with being late. And here are a few of them. So, being late signals to other people that maybe you lack some self-control in order to actually be there on time. And that lack of self-control is like, oh no, this happened. Ultimately it all lies on you, though. It's you're in control of yourself. Govern yourself. That's what you need to do. Secondly, being late is rude to those whom you keep waiting. So it tells other people that you don't value their time, which is the same thing as not valuing them. And this is true. That's how people feel. So, you say, oh, yeah, I'll be there. And then you're not there. And you just keep somebody waiting. It's very rude. It's dismissive. It's as though you don't really care. Your time is more important than their time. And nobody wants to be treated that way. And ultimately, you don't even want to be treated that way, And it's not the point to ever point the finger like, oh, you were late that one time, so it's okay for me to be late. No, that's not the point. The point is to always try to be there on time, because it's up to you. If you play the blame game when it comes to people being late, then you're just making excuses that your time is more important than other people's, that you don't care as much. So the point is to just be on time, even if somebody else is chronically late. You always show up on time. And especially when it comes to a job, the boss will see that. Your manager will see that. Well, you know what? They're always here on time. So and so is always here on time. This person's late. But if you complain about that person, say, well, they're always late, so I don't mind being late. Well, then you're in the same category as them as to not being punctual. Don't worry about them. Worry about yourself and say, I'm going to be on time now. I'm not going to waste people's time. I don't want people to waste my time. I'm going to show them how it's done. I'm going to be that example. And that's what we want to do. Being late can make you feel flustered and insecure. And I know that feeling when you're late and you're like, oh man, I was supposed to be here then. I didn't manage my time. And now, oh man. And then you get there and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm late. And you're flustered and things are like, oh, everything's up in the air. So again, that's why we're going to go over tips to make sure that you don't feel that way, because I don't want anybody feeling that way. And depending on your job, what it is you can start to lose customers and things like that. Like if you're constantly late, you're not showing up on time, say you're supposed to open up a store, say, your boss gave you a shift and he's like, yeah, this is, or she, your manager, he, she, doesn't matter. They say, well, we need you here to open the store. And you say, yeah, I can do that. And then you're not there. And you don't open the store. And the customers have been waiting. They're going to leave. And they're going to go find another place to go. So again, being punctual, you want to make sure you don't want to lose that business. And you don't want to lose that sense of responsibility that somebody's given to you, that they believe in you, that you can actually do this. So disorganization is one of the main reasons that people are chronically late. Chronically late just means it happens all the time. Acutely late would mean that it happens once in a while, which we're all acutely late, because sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes. But if it's chronic, it means it just keeps happening. And again, I've been a manager, and I have to mark people's attendance, and I mark what time they come in. And so I mark and I mark and I mark. If you're on time, you're on time, you're on time. I'll say, hey, your attendance is great. You had a great review. Then if somebody hasn't, though, I'll say, you've been late here on this date. You came in here on this day at this time. You came in here on this day at this time. And, most of the time you even have a clock that you punch in on. So they can just even go to the clock and say, look, here's the clock. You didn't punch in on time this day, this day, this day, this day, this day. So, but a lot of times it's because of disorganization. Like, you didn't set your alarm. You didn't plan for the next day. You didn't have a plan like, I got to get up at this time. I need to shower this time. And then I need to do this. You just kind of let everything go freewheeling, Bob Dylan. It's a great album, by the way. But you don't really want to do that when it comes to a job. You want to be organized. And it'll really take care of that. It says here that people who are easily distracted have a tendency to be late. So, for what that means is I don't really like the term, because it's kind of negative, distracted. I think what we need to focus on is exactly what I just said, is focused. When you're at work, that is your focus. Your focus is your job. You need to compartmentalize. Your outside life doesn't matter. What's going on with, anything else that's outside of work doesn't matter when you're at work. It doesn't. Sometimes it can affect you. And if you need to take a personal day for something like that, then you talk to your manager and say, hey, there's stuff going on in my life that I need to take care of, so I'm not distracted. But as long as it's just a day, then focus on your job. Focus on being there. That's what you're there for. You're there to be paid. They're paying you to do a certain thing. Go there and do that. Be on time and be focused on that. And say, this is what I'm here for. Then the minute the clock's over, boom, your whole life starts again. You can let go of the work life. And then you go take your coat off and be yourself in your life, in your individual life. And people who lack conscientiousness are chronically late. So conscientiousness just means you're not being uh, conscious of other people. You're being conscious of yourself, and you can have every excuse in the book as to, oh well, my life, this is happening, so I have every excuse to be late. And you just have to understand where I'm coming from. Well, if we all did that, let's just take this as a for instance. If we all did that and just say, oh well, my life is nothing would ever really get done. That's why, the real entrepreneurs in life, they buckle down and they say, let's get this done. This is how we do something to run efficiently. This is how we find people to help things run efficiently. Efficiency is not ever going to come from somebody being like, oh, well, my life is so much worse than your life and I have so. But we can all make those excuses. We can all say that. We can't ever judge anybody for what their life is. Because you don't know. You can say that, well, my life is tougher than yours, your life is tougher than mine, but you don't really know. What we do know is that if we're conscious of each other and care about each other's lives as equally as we possibly can, and say, I'm here to work. I'm here to make sure the customer's happy. I'm here to make sure that I get my job done. I'm here to make sure that I can be proud of myself at the end of the day. Be conscious of that, not about your life's problems, because those need to go out the door when you enter your work door. Your outside life goes out, your work life begins. And they are tied together. I care about your personal life and everything. As a boss, I always have, when I've been a boss. I don't like the word boss, but when I've been a manager or whatever, I care about the people's lives. I really do. If they have something to talk to me about, I want to hear it. But at the same time, I need to make sure that they're doing their job, because I want to make sure they're successful. I want to make sure everybody is. So let's go over some ways that we can actually be punctual. So make being prompt a priority. The first step in being punctual is accepting that you have a punctuality problem. Then realize that it's not a cute or quirky character trait. Instead, it's a habit that's having a negative impact on your career, on your business, and on your relationships. Make a commitment to drop the tardiness habit and become punctual. Don't make it cute. That's never fun. Like, oh, I was late. Come on. It's like, no, this is like the 1,000th time you've been late. And it's not funny anymore. It's not cute. I think at some point for some people, it really becomes annoying. And that can affect not just your work life, but your life. If you're constantly late on your friends and things like that, eventually they're going to find friends that aren't going to be late. They're going to find people that will be there for them. Okay, number 2. Know why you want to be punctual. So, what are good reasons to be punctual? Why do you want to be punctual? Why do I want to be on time? It's a good reflective sort of thing to think about. Why do I want to be on time? And really dive into that. What is the purpose of me being on time? And there are things that it can actually really help with. Being on time will help you cut down on stress. When you're running late and you're like, oh man, now everything's kind of blowing up. I'm late. I should have done this. I should have done that. If you really prioritize your time, it will cut down on that stress. Being on time will reduce friction with your coworkers. Nobody likes to be kept waiting. We've all been in doctor's offices, things like that, and and as much as I know that there's so many things that people are dealing with, nobody likes to be left in the waiting room. It's not fun. Or like if you're on hold on the phone and it's like your cable company or something, and it's just, I don't know if you've all had to deal with that, but it's annoying. You're like, I'm just waiting. And I'm paying you people for me to wait. So, again, it reduces friction with your coworkers. If you're there on time and you can be there and people see, hey, no, they're always there. Always there ready to go. I mean, that's a plus. And again, being on time will let your boss know that you can be counted on, which could lead to promotions. If you're on time, a lot of the time, bosses take notice of that. Believe me, attendance and punctuality is something that bosses really look on because it shows that you care about your job, shows that you care about other people more than yourself. Believe me, it is very true. You can be promoted for that. And then number 3 is to track how long tasks take. A lot of people are constantly have trouble determining how long it takes to perform different tasks, even those tasks that they perform on a regular basis. So, it's good to kind of figure out how long. Like, I was late a little bit when I started a job, and I was just maybe 2-3 minutes late, but still that adds up. My dad always said, and this is a math thing, but people would always say, oh, I was 1 minute late. My dad would say, well, say 60 people are 1 minute late. Well, that's an hour of production that we lost. So that's 60 minutes. So that's a full hour of production for that day that was lost because people would say, well, I was just 1 minute late. No, you need to be there on time, if not before, or at least right on time. But when I was being late for this one, I realized I just needed to set my alarm for 5 minutes earlier. 5 minutes. And then for some reason it was weird. I was even showing up even earlier. But that 5 minutes made a huge... So, tracking how long it really takes me to get ready in the morning and everything like that was very important for me to kind of make sure that I was getting to places on time. So if that does happen and you need to track that, which I did, make a list of all the tasks you need to get done in the morning before you go to program or to work, whatever you're going to be doing. And then really figure out how long it takes you to do those things. How long does it take you to eat breakfast? Do you have cereal in the morning? Do you have the same thing every morning? How long does that take? Make a list and really figure out how long does it take me to get myself ready in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, self-grooming, hygiene, and all of that. How long does all of that take? How long does it take for me to eat my breakfast after that or before that, depending on whatever your routine is? But then to make sure that it's okay, after I have all this tracked, then I know exactly where I can be on time. But you have to make those notes to yourself and be no, I'm going to keep this routine. And routine is really important when it comes to a job and punctuality. If you're going to get up in the morning, you want to hang out with your family or something like that, that's fine. But then get up early. Because you say, I've got to leave the door at this time. I have to be out of the door at this time. If I'm not out of the door at this time, I'm going to be late. So wake up early. But again, it's self-governance. It's all up to you. So once you have that, get out of bed earlier. If you really like long showers or something like that, make sure you get up even earlier so you can. Make sure that you time things out with people in your house. How long does it take them to get ready in the morning? Because, I grew up with brothers and sisters, and we had basically one bathroom for 8 kids. And, a lot of times I would shower the night before because I was my sisters are going to be in the bathroom forever. And it was true. But again, you have to take into account all these things. And again, it's up to you to really figure it out. Use a timer is number 4. Once you know how long it actually takes you to complete a different task, use a timer. Make sure that that you can adhere to those times and try it out. Use a timer. How long does it actually take me? And maybe just do it on the weekend. Be I'm going to set this timer and I'm going to see what it's like. I'm going to go about what I usually do for my day and be like, man, I didn't realize it took that long. That's a long time. So maybe I need to like scale it back and again track and say, okay, well, I need to get up this much earlier because I realize now that this is how much time I'm taking just to get ready. And and do it for both. Sometimes you have to like kind of quick shower and things like that. But take time with both, and see like how long does each take, because there have been many times that I've said I'm going to get ready really fast and it takes me just as long. So what are you going to do? Or try a timer out. It could really help. All right, number 5. Be ruthless with your to-do list. So one reason why you have a tendency to be late is because you simply have too much to do. So if your schedule is unrealistic, how can you possibly be on time for anything? It's better to say no to something you don't have time for than to say yes and be an hour late. So be ruthless with your to-do list. Seriously, think about it the day before. Like, what do I need to get done for the day? Like, what are my responsibilities at home? Can I take care of that the night before? Can I do, let me switch up my activities. Let me create my to-do list around me being punctual at work, around me being ready to go for a meeting, around for me to do everything else, to make sure that I'm on time. And the thing is that sometimes you have to say no, like, I can't do that. People can ask you things, say, hey, could you do this? Could you do this? And really take account of, well, no, I have to work. I have to walk the dog. I need to get the dishes done. I need to clean up my bedroom. I promised that, I was going to sweep up the garage. I need to water the garden. You have these to-do lists that need to be done. And the best way to figure that out, though, is to make sure that you can say no. You can say, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I can't. Maybe another time, but this time is not good. Because, again, you need to make sure your priorities are straight. Okay, number 6, be prepared to be on time. Preparation is one of the keys to punctuality. Yeah, so this is very true. I do it all the time. But be prepared. So choose the clothes that you're going to wear and lay them out. Do that the night before. A lot of times, if you need to iron your clothes, things like that, because, again, you want to look presentable. Iron the night before, lay them out. You can even just lay them on, sometimes I just lay mine on the ironing board, and they're right there. I have a little place where you can just put hangers and hang it from the ironing board right when you're done. And then the next day, you're just ready to go. Have your backpack ready to go. Have your, right by the door. So all you got to do is pick it up the night before, and then you can just head out the door, and you have everything ready the day before. Make sure that your house keys and your keys are by the door. I have a little bowl, like it's a wooden bowl, and that's whenever I come home, I just throw that right in there. And then make your breakfast. So, breakfast is one of those things. What I would say is I always make my lunch the night before. My sandwiches and everything, I always have sandwiches for lunch. Because and I have my water bottle ready to go. But have that, I prepare that the day before. Make my sandwich, put it in my container, put that in the fridge, get it to chill overnight, and then have it ready to go. So I just take it out of the fridge, put it in my backpack, and bam, I'm out the door ready to go. So, you can prepare to be on time. If you're going to get up in the morning and not be prepared, if you're going to get up and be like, oh, I'm just going to throw everything together all at once, you're going to have a stressful day. Plan out your day before, the night before. Say, this is what I need to do to be ready for tomorrow, and then I'm ready to go. And that cuts down on so much stress that next morning. When you wake up and you're like, oh, I need to throw all this on, and then sometimes, a lot of times, if you're just throwing things on and they haven't been ironed, or you haven't really put the thought in, you haven't laid them out before, they could be wrinkly. The clothes might not smell the best. Some people just pick things up off the floor and be like, well, I wore this the other day, but I didn't, it's only been on my floor for like 2 days. So I'm just going to throw this on. That it's not going to look professional. It's not going to look nice. You want to make sure that you're prepared to be on time. And just have it all out, ready to go. It's just like for our cooking classes that I do, I say mise en place, which means everything in its place. So, just like with the food, you have the bread set out, you have the cheese set out, you have everything before you start cooking. You want to do mise en place, but you want to do that with your life as well. Okay, well, before I go to work, I'm going to have everything set out, mise en place, everything in its place before I go to do this thing. And then, boom, you're ready to go. Give yourself a time cushion. It's number 7. Even if you know how long it takes to perform different tasks, such as driving to work or meeting across time, give yourself some extra time in case of unexpected events. So, yeah, it's very important. You don't ever really know what's going to happen, if it starts to rain, if there's an accident on the highway. If you give yourself a bit of a time cushion, say 15 minutes, something like that, you can really cut down on travel time and things like that. Also, I would say for a time cushion, also have alternate routes. Know your side streets and things like that, like if you're going to be driving. Like, oh, wow, this place is jammed up. And you all know Richmond, so if you're going to be working in Richmond, you can say, oh, wow, I know this route too, so I'm going to go around here. I mean, a lot of you have shown me a lot of different routes that I know now because you all have lived in Richmond your whole life and I haven't. And now I know different ways to get around different things. And y'all are like, no, TJ, just go this way. And then, yeah, turn right here, turn left here, boom, boom, boom. And you all know this, so that helps with your time cushion to actually get places and to know how to get places. Next one is be prepared to wait. People usually don't like to be early because they feel that that the time they spend waiting for others is wasted time. Rather than having downtime. So what it's saying is basically for this one, because it said be prepared to wait. Well, say you need to go somewhere and you're not exactly sure when everything's going to start. Other people are being late. Bring stuff with you. Have your phone ready to go. You can do things while you're waiting. You can work while you're waiting. You can answer emails on your phone. You can bring a manila folder or a backpack. I always have my backpack, and you can have a notebook and start like thinking out ideas. Even with this, I came up with this idea for doing a job skills class because of different reasons, but I realized that it's an important thing to do. But it's because I was sitting around waiting, and I was like, hey, this is a good thing, so I'm going to do that. You can also just take the time to meditate and kind of just be in a moment. Just be there with yourself. You can always do that. And again, you can also do it as take that time to work on a personal project, maybe something you're working on at home. Maybe you like to write poetry. Maybe you like to draw pictures. Maybe, you can come up with ideas and start mapping those out. But be prepared to wait because other people aren't always going to be punctual. And again, it shows you that, you can see why, especially when you're sitting there and you're waiting and you're like, oh, well, this is why I like to be on time. Because if I'm on time and if everybody could be on time, the world would be a little bit smoother and people would be less frustrated with everything. But at the same time, you got to be able to let go of that anxiety and say, things happen, things are late, I can work on other stuff. I don't need to focus on this one thing. And there's so many other things that I could be working on as well. And, plan out your day maybe for the rest of the day. Like, well, what am I going to do when I get home? I can do this, I can do that. And sometimes ideas just start to flood in. And it's kind of an amazing feeling. Next one, change your thoughts about being early. A lot of people who think that those who are important keep others waiting. Therefore, being early is a sign that they're not that important and no one wants to feel unimportant. So, but so fashionably late, people do that at parties, things like that, where they kind of show up and they're like, well, I'm not going to show up right on time. I'm going to keep people waiting. And actually, sometimes you miss the best part of things when you're actually being fashionably late. You'll walk in and be like, everybody's like, oh man, we've been having the greatest time. Wish you were here. But really, it's a sign of being organized when you show up early. It's showing a sign that you have respect for other people and that you have good time management skills. And again, people will notice. Number 10, always leave on time. So no matter what happens, have a set time that, like, if you need to get to your job, have a set time that you're going to leave the house. Like, I have to leave at this time. At its very latest, I can't go past this time. So if an email happens, a phone call happens, anything like that, you ignore those. You ignore them completely. And you say, I have to leave right now. You get to work and kind of see how the day starts to go. Then you can check on it then. But you make sure that you leave on time. And, here's the thing is that a lot of times, say you have to miss breakfast, say the power went out, your phone died, you didn't know it was going to happen. But then you still say, I still need to leave at this time. Leave at that time. A lot of times you go in and tell your boss, like, that you're there on time. Say, I'm here on time today, but, is it all right if I take a little time for some breakfast? Or can I go get something? Because I did, this happened, but I still got here on time. They're going to really understand that. That's human. We're all human. And number 11, set up reminders. Set up a reminder for meetings and appointment an hour before you have to leave. And also set up a reminder for 15 minutes before you have to go. That way you can tell yourself that you're ready to leave on time. So say you have to go to a dentist appointment or something like that. Set up a reminder for yourself. Let your boss know at least a week in advance. I got this dental appointment. And then make sure that, throughout that day, to make sure everything runs smoothly, that you have everything covered. And then you set up like a timer on your phone, like, oh, boom, I got to get going. Sorry, that's my timer. We'll continue this conversation later if you're speaking to somebody, but I really need to get going. And people will be impressed by that. They'll be like, oh, yeah, we totally can. If they're offended by that, maybe they're not the best person to be talking to, because you're like, no, I have a impacted molar that I need to have, dealt with. People should care about your time just as much as you care about their time. And finally, practice the day before. I do this with a lot of things. Just, practice. Well, say it's an interview or anything like that. Practice being punctual. A lot of times what I've done is I've actually gone and, like, when I was applying for the job at George Miller, interesting story, I drove there the day before. So I knew exactly what route was fastest to take, made sure that I knew where it was, where the office was, so that when I went there the next day, I would know exactly where I needed to be and be on time. And, I wanted to make sure, so I practiced that the day before. What I also practiced was I knew that I was going to be interviewed, so I went over in my mind what they might be asking me for that interview. And a lot of people, what you do, I don't really like looking at myself, but you can practice in the mirror and just really kind of, but see how you're reacting to everything. Like, oh, well, this is what I think I do. This is what I think I do. Look at your facial reactions. The more you practice, the less nervous you'll feel, because you'll go in prepared. And again, practice it out. Even when I go to, like, I've had to go to places, like, for my other jobs, like on retreats and things like that. Well, I look at every single map route and make sure that I can actually get there on time. So I check out the map routes, and then, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. And even though I don't know exactly what the traffic's going to be, I know the direction that I'm headed. But anyway, so this has been Punctuality, part 2 of our job skills class today. I hope it helps, but please try to use some of these. Time out your tasks. Find out how long it takes you to get ready in the morning. Find out what you really need to do. Write down lists of things. Make sure that you leave, like, I have to be ready at this time. I'm ready at this time. I leave at this time. That's when I'm ready to go. And when it comes to program, make sure that's like between 8 and 9. I'm ready at 8. The minute a staff calls, if they call right at 8 o'clock and say, I'm right outside, you got to be ready. If they call at 8:30 or 8:15, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I should have had all this done by 7:45 because staff, we all get to the office at 7:45 in the morning for our morning meeting. So we get there at 7:45. We have to be there. Then we're out by 8 to go pick people up. Sometimes we leave a little bit early, sometimes a little bit later, depending on the meeting. But then we go. But as long as we're there between 8 and 9, but that's when you got to be ready by. So as long as we're there at 7:45 in the morning, you all should have everything done by 8 o'clock that morning as well and be ready to go. And again, be prepared to wait. Be working on things, crossword puzzles. You can be doing things around the house. You can be helping out with dishes. Then you get a call from the staff, say, I'll be right out. Boom, ready to go. My teeth are brushed. My hair's done. I'm looking good, ready to go for the day. Anyway, so punctuality, very good. Let people know when you're going to be there. Let people know that you've received information. If somebody says, hey, here's our class for today, let them know and say, hey, I got your class and I'm going to watch it right now, or I'm going to be there in a minute. And also letting people know, like, I need to use the restroom or I need to do this. And, we all make accommodations. So this is part 2. I'll be doing some more job skill stuff. Let me know how you enjoyed this video. And then let me know other things that you want to go over when it comes to taking a class. Anyway, I miss y'all, and I'll talk to you hopefully soon.